Hey everyone, it's another Monday and time for Monday Mastery live at 5. Let's um, let's wait for a couple minutes and let some folks jump on here so we can have a lively conversation today. It's it's a reasonably nice day here in the Kansas City metro area. The Chiefs won yesterday, barely. I thought it was going to be a little crazier towards the end than it was, but yeah, they pulled it out. So for those of you that are football fans and Kansas City fans specifically, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you all had a great week last week and a great weekend. Hey, Shar, thanks for joining in. Happy Monday to you as well. And let's see what else. It's just been a crazy busy week. I don't know about for you all, but it has been for me. So, hey Sharon, thanks for joining in today. I am having a good day. Thank you. I hope you are as well. And I've been doing a lot of driving lately, so that gives me a lot of windshield time, a lot of seat time to think and to listen to good books. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you about. I've struggled with my weight for, 20 years, 30 years. And my doctor recommended a book to me, and my best friend who's a dentist recommended a book to me. Two different books, and it really makes some sense. The first one that my doctor recommended was a book called The Obesity Code. Hey, Deborah, thanks for joining in. And it's written by I think his name is Dr. Jason Fung, Fung. And it really is an interesting book, and and I encourage you, if any of you struggle with weight, and have been on a million diets, and and one of the things that he said, and struggled with those diets and gaining weight back and whatnot, which I've done. I've been on a dozen different diets, and even the keto diet, which worked to a certain extent, but I gained all the weight back. And he explains why, and it has to do with insulin and reducing insulin in the body, so it's way too technical for me to try to explain here in just a thumbnail sketch. If that's something that you struggle with, get the book called The Obesity Code. And then another one I highly recommend is Vitamin K and I think it's Vitamin K and the Calcium Conundrum, and or the Calcium Paradox. The Calcium Paradox. That is also a really good book, and they talk about using how vitamins impact our entire bodies, including weight loss. And the two overlap in one section where they talk about insulin and insulin creating fat. And maybe a lot of you knew this already. I didn't. I found it fascinating, and since I've gotten done reading both these books, I've dropped about 3.5 pounds in about 2 weeks, and it's a slow process, and but I think I'm doing it right, because the whole idea is to reset your body weight, and both books help you deal with that. So anybody that's fascinated with weight loss or struggles with weight loss, I'd encourage you both to pick up both of those books. The Obesity Code and Vitamin K and the Calcium Paradox. Yeah, that's it. So anyway, let's get to today's topic. As I was driving this weekend, I thought about some people and thought about myself. And have you ever been disappointed by somebody? Hey, Rod, thanks for joining in from Harrisonville. Is that Harrisonville, Missouri, or Arkansas? Hey, Chris, thanks for joining in. Chris says, awesome work. Consistency is key. Absolutely. Hey, Don, thanks for joining in tonight. So have you ever been disappointed in someone? Uh, they let you down. But it wasn't intentional, and it was due to our expectations. And what I found is that so many times when we're disappointed in other people, it's not because of anything they did or said uh, or promised. It's it was our expectations were higher than what they could do or what they produced. Your expectations for them uh, were higher than their own expectations from themselves. And I find it interesting that we tend to point the finger of blame at somebody when things don't go right. Uh, we tend to point the finger of blame at others, as opposed to taking a look at ourselves and saying, well, were my expectations too high? Were my expectations too high for this date? Were my expectations too high for this particular relationship? Chris says, perfect topic. Well, thank you, Chris. And it's just one of those things. And even with dieting, are my expectations too much? Hey, Lindy, thanks for joining in. And let's see. Let me put her comment up here. Lindy says, I find that my expectations are too high, but I fail to express what they are. It doesn't work to keep them guessing. And that's the point I'm getting to. Thanks, Lindy. That's an awesome observation. When we have expectations, unmet expectations, often it's our own fault, either because we set our expectations too high or we don't share what we expect. We all have unwritten rules of relationships, of life. Hey, Amy, thanks for joining in, and I'm glad you could be here tonight. Whenever we don't express what our expectations are, whenever we don't set the table for how we expect things to progress, or what we want to see, that's when we get disappointed. And as a financial advisor, I would always set the table or set the expectations of my clients' investments, and it was more a matter of setting the table or setting the expectations low enough that when crazy things, when the market went crazy, exploded in a crazy direction, they were pleasantly surprised. But also when the market dropped, they said, yeah, Rick told us this was going to happen. And I think this is the same type of communication we need to have in dating and in relationships. What are your expectations for the date? Are there conversations that are off limits? I know there are some very hot topics right now. Politics is just one of them. So are those types of conversations off the table? And if you do get into a political conversation, how do you unless you're in lockstep together, how do you diffuse this situation? A lot of times it's a matter of just saying, we have to agree to disagree. You need to step away from name calling or accusatory statements, and it can really create a huge divide between people. I know. Somebody said something to me last week, and it was in the realm of political conversation, and they said one of my trigger words, and I went off. It was, and I don't often explode on people, but I exploded on this woman because she used a term that was a word that I actually refused to use in my language. And Amy says, respect. The media is gaslighting and toxic. Well, that's part of the conversation, Amy. And some of us will agree with you. Others of us won't. And we all have the right to have our own opinions. And when somebody refuses to accept your opinion, and a lot of times people choose to agree, surround themselves with only people that agree with them. Chris says many people disagree on acceptable conversation. Too fast of any conversations or expectations. I'm not sure what Chris, what you're and you're right, Chris. Too many people do disagree on acceptable conversation. And you and I have talked several times, and I don't think there's anything that we couldn't talk about. And I think those are great kinds of conversations to have. So if you're going to have an opinion, recognize that other people have opinions also, and they may differ from yours. And just because they differ from yours doesn't make them wrong. It just makes them different. Deborah says, I'm used to people with strong opinions, but kindness is paramount when sharing. Absolutely. Chris says, too fast in expecting literally anything, even affection. That's right. And that'll take us down another rabbit hole, Chris. We live in an immediate gratification society where and it started 50, 60 years ago when it started, I trace it back to the TV dinner. I remember as a kid getting a TV dinner. Oh, they were terrible, but they were fun. We were excited when we could have one because it was different. It was unique, but it wasn't really good. It was tough little slabs of shaved beef and terrible vegetables and maybe a little glob of mashed potatoes. Hey Sheila, thanks for joining in. And so it's just progressed from there. It's progressed to McDonald's, and in one of my blogs not too long ago, I shared that there was a little restaurant in Superior, Wisconsin. It was a drive-in restaurant at the time, and it was called Sandy's, and it was, they had the best, to me, they had the best hamburgers. And I always get 2 hamburgers and a chocolate shake. And it was just fun to go to. And because they were almost 2 hours away, it was a treat to go there. And, so, God, where was I going with that? Too many squirrel moments going on here. Amy says COVID is actually beneficial in tempering physical. I'm assuming you're meaning physical contact. I know where I was going. Look, I just scanned back to Chris's comment. Too fast in expecting literally anything, and it goes back to an immediate gratification. Then you have the drive-in, the fast food restaurants. You have microwave ovens, where you can heat your food in 30 seconds or a minute and a half, and if you got something warm to not necessarily nourishing to eat, and so it's we've got the internet. We can get information instantly. We've got. When I used to take pictures as a kid, you'd take a picture and then you'd have to take the roll of film down to the drugstore or to the Photoshop and get it developed and pictures printed and even back in the late 70s, early 80s, I got into photography, 35 millimeter photography, and I had a ball. But it would be frustrating because I'd take all these pictures and then I'd have to take the roll and get it developed, and then wait to see what was on the roll, or how the negatives turned out. Hey Rose, thanks for joining in. Glad you're here tonight. And now, just with your phone, you can take pictures and share them instantly, or nearly instantly. It's at the speed of the speed of the internet. So everything has been sped up to a point where if we can't have it now, we don't want to wait. I and I'm as guilty as anyone. I'll be passing when I'm traveling, if I'm passing a drive-through restaurant, a McDonald's, a Burger King, I know that's terrible for me. But on the road, that's about all I have time for, because I don't like screwing around. I like to get on the road and get going and keep going. Anyway, if there's a line at McDonald's or Burger King, I keep driving to the next one. It's or Sonic or Wendy's or whatever it is. We've become accustomed to wanting things immediately, and the same thing happens with relationships, which Chris was referring to. And we expect, or so many of us expect, to have love happen immediately or overnight, and it just doesn't happen that way. It takes time. Now, there are instances where you'll recognize a really great relationship, and it does bloom very quickly, but those are more rare, or fewer and farther between. Deborah says, I learn more about a person when we prepare a meal together. Oh, that's awesome. It takes a bit of time, and their willingness shows me that they are willing to make the effort. That's exactly right. And see, that's a great way to spend time together doing it. It allows you to see how you work together. For me, that's important, and I call it being able to dance in the kitchen. If you two are working in the kitchen, it's not not a rumba or a waltz or whatever it is. I'm talking about a dance is where you can move around each other and not trip over each other, not get upset with each other because someone's in the other's way, and you can walk out of the kitchen without throwing knives at each other. But that's, Deborah, that's an excellent point, an excellent observation. You can learn how willing your partner is to participate. Are they willing to help cook? Are they willing to clean up? Are they, what are they willing to do? Or while you're cooking, is he sitting watching TV and drinking a beer or having a drink and talking to you over at a I guess a bar. If you have a bar in the house, or a countertop that you can sit at, is he participating? And sometimes things are a little more complex, and I'm not a great cook, so if you're going to cook a fancy meal, I'll help with the prep work, and I'll be happy to clean up. But, for me to do the cooking, I don't want to screw the meal up. Chris says, I'm not waiting for hugs. Hashtag my rule. And I'm assuming, Chris, that you're meaning that if he doesn't want to hug you, or that you're not waiting around for that. Is that my correct understanding? You can just shoot a message back in there. So it's the expectations we set. And in Deborah's case, cooking dinner. Do you expect him to help? Do you expect him to bring some of the ingredients? Do you expect him? What do you expect him to do? Or is it have you set the expectations and said, nope, you just come, I've got it all taken care of? Okay, Chris says, yeah, if they're not forthcoming with hugs, she's out. And that's, and some of these can be unwritten expectations, and some, you might want to leave as, as unspoken expectations, just to see how they are in natural life. Chris says, hello, greeting, and affection. Absolutely. Those are all important things to have. Deborah says, I would like participation, no matter how small. Nothing fancy, just healthy food and great conversation. There you go. In using Deborah's example, is he offering to help clean? Is he offering to help? Is there an offer to set the table? Is there an offer to, or just the question, what can I do to help? How can I help you? What can I do? And a lot of times the answer is nothing. I've got it all. There might be nothing that he can do, but it should be a willingness to offer. And so consequently, when we don't see those things happening, we can become disappointed, because we have these expectations in our mind of what should be happening, and it doesn't always, but I think those are great character, great ways to witness character, doing something together, being encouraging of each other. I know Chris likes to spend time in the gym. And if assuming that her man is, they're assuming the man in her life is going to be encouraging to her in the gym if they work out together. If not, encouraging in other aspects of her life. We all need encouragement in life. We all should be expecting those types of things. Because it's difficult to run to walk through life with all the different aspects that go on, everything from working to paying the bills to working out to taking care of kids or taking care of grandkids. All of these things, taking care of parents. Some of us are at the age that we need to take care of parents now. And so when those things happen, there can be a lot of burdens and a lot of responsibilities. And when you're dating, when you're in a relationship, how willing are they to help? Do they have to be asked or poked and prodded and say, come on, can you help me? Or is it, are they just volunteering their time, saying, okay, jumping in and saying, what can I do? And a lot of that has to do with love languages. I'm a person that is willing to dive in and help wherever I can, because one of my primary love languages is acts of service. And so it's nothing for me to jump in and say, okay, what can I do? And here I was talking earlier about diet books and eating healthy. And what am I doing? I'm still drinking a Diet Pepsi or Diet Dr. Pepper. So I have not perfected anything yet. So I didn't have my water here. So, so that was the closest thing. Deborah says, I agree on the acts of service. It means a lot. And it does, but Deborah, that's not everybody's love language. Some people are quality time, being able just to spend time together. It doesn't make any difference what you're doing. but just the act of spending time together, or words of affirmation, telling you, being told how much you're appreciated, being told how much you're loved, it's or gifts, just a card here and there, just little things. And all these things don't have to be big gifts. They don't have to be expensive. In fact, most of the things we do that are most appreciated are just the simplest acts. A touch, a kiss, taking the garbage out, quality, just spending 15 minutes, just stopping whatever you're doing and taking 15 or 30 minutes to talk to each other. How is your day? What's going on? How can I make this relationship better? What are some of the things that I can do to be better for you? We talked a little bit about that last week. So it's part of our upset, or part of the problem we run into when people disappoint us, is because our expectations are unspoken. And I've had several conversations with different people that everybody thinks differently than I do. I just naturally think that everybody should think like me. But after over 60 years, I've come to recognize that, that's not true. I look at my daughter and my son-in-law; they think totally different. Although my daughter has carried on some of my thought patterns or thought characteristics, but they have different life experiences. They look at the world differently than I do. And part of how we look at the world is based on our experience. And experience comes with age. And it's we grew up in different types of families. I grew up in one type of family. You all grew up in different families. Some were real healthy families. Mine, and I know a couple of you, grew up in very dysfunctional families. And so that all has an impact. That all plays a part in how we react and how we act in relationships. So there's so many moving parts here. There's so many things to take into consideration. And the next time when you're thinking about getting upset with somebody because they disappointed you or they let you down, think about, did you share with them what your expectations were? And that should be a huge question that you ask yourself first. Did I share my expectations? Well, no, he should, or she should know exactly what I'm thinking. That's like telling somebody, well, if you don't know what to get me for Christmas, then you just don't know me very well. Well, yeah. When's the last time I was a mind reader? I don't think so. Chris says, always. Always, I should be a mind reader, Chris. No, it's there are things that we just have to think about. We have to, we can create huge issues. We can create extraordinary relationships just by how we think, how we. Chris says, yeah. Sharon, sorry, Chris, I meant to. Sharon says it doesn't matter how you grew up. It's what you were taught. Well, I think there's a lot of that, Sharon. But if you're in a tough relationship, or grew up in a toxic family situation, you can change the outcome. And you can learn new things. You can learn different ways. I look at Justice Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court. He grew up in the projects. yet he was able to pull himself out of the slums and make a name for himself. He's become a famous. So whether you agree with him or not, that's not the point of the conversation. But people can take themselves out of their environment and make something better out of it. And Chris says that she always shares her expectations. And yes, from our conversations, I believe you do. So how many of you have been disappointed with people that you haven't shared your expectations, or things didn't go the way you expected and were disappointed, yet now that we're talking about it, that you recognize, yeah, I really didn't share well enough, or I didn't express myself. I know I've done that. And it wasn't until, gosh, I'd been in business for quite a few years, and I grew up with a dad that, and I grew up in a bakery, and everything had to be just so. Everything had to be done his way. And I was sharing with a friend of mine the other day that, he was such a good baker. He would decorate cakes, and he was just masterful at it. And he would try to teach me aspects of the business, simple things in how to make an icing bag out of a piece of parchment paper. And he would just show me, and he'd just whip it around his hand, and it was a bag. It was an icing tube. And I would try it, and it would end up it would end up like a toilet paper roll. So, and he would get so frustrated with me because I never grasped. And part of it was his teaching style. He says, here, this is how you do it. Boom, boom. And it's done. But he never took it step by step and say, okay, this is how you start. This is how you hold it. These are the steps. These are the motions that you make. And it's just like anything else. You try something new for the first time, you don't have the muscle memory. So, it's and that goes to creating muscle memory to share your expectations. And the more often you do that, the easier it gets. It could be, these are the things that I look forward to. These are the things that I want in a relationship, and having those conversations early on. And unless you have those conversations, you can end up going down the road with somebody, and somewhere down the road, you're disappointed because they're truly not what you're looking for in a relationship. So it's a matter of being able to share those thoughts, and the earlier you get that stuff on the table, the easier it becomes to make a judgment. Yes, he's a good guy, or no, she's not what I'm looking for. It's not a good fit. And like I've said all along, it's not a matter of making them a good person, or either one of you a good person or a bad person. It's just who the two of you are. And if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. Move on. If it's a good fit, then pursue it and see where it goes. So, is sharing expectations. Don't be disappointed if you don't say anything. I've told the stories a couple of times about dating someone years ago that we were having a conversation. There was a lull in the conversation. We were in an open floor plan, and I was behind her, and I walked out of the room. Next thing I know, she's having a conversation with me, and I'm in another room, or a room and a half away. And, I got all upset, and I had to calm down, and I walked back in the room, and I said, stop the conversation. I was out of the room, and here's why and I'm really upset right now, and here's why. I don't get as upset about that anymore because I recognize it's one of my triggers, and that's one of the things I try to share with anyone that I date. Let's not talk when we're in different rooms. It doesn't work. How many of you have, in past relationships or with your ex, one of you would be in another room and the other would be trying to holler or share with you a story or whatever, and you can't hear a word. They're asking, "Hey, can you hear me?" No, I can't hear you. I'm 2 rooms away. Rose says, when you share with them, they say you think too much. Well, Rose, if that's what they're saying, then they're the wrong person for you. It's quite that simple. I mean, unless you're being overly analytical, and there are some people that will analyze everything down to the nth degree. And I'm not talking about those kinds of things. And then yeah, that can take some of the fun out of it. But if you're just sharing who you are and what you're looking for, what you enjoy in a relationship, then they're not a good match for you if they're getting upset with that. And Chris says, "Yep, Rose, yep, LOL." You're right. It's just, and for me, I prefer thinkers. So there you go. And I think there are a lot of guys out, Rose and Chris. I think there are a lot of guys out there that prefer women that can think through things as opposed to being told what they need to do and or what's expected of them. And Lord knows I've met women that say, "Yep, I'm just here to take care of my man," and that's about as far as that goes. Whatever he wants, I'm here to be supportive. And to a great extent, that's the way our society used to be 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. It was the woman's role in the household to take care of the household and take care of her husband, make sure that things were taken care of at home while he was out working and providing. So there's society has definitely changed. From single provider to dual income households and whatnot. So anyway, trying to think of what else I was going to talk about. I had several things on my mind when I scheduled this today, and now we've been having such a good conversation talking about expectations. That what are some of your expectations? What are the things that you want? Chris said she wants affection. She wants acknowledgement. Greeting. Saying hello. What are some of the things that Deborah wants help in the kitchen, or would like help in the kitchen? What are some of the things that the rest of you want or would like? And do you share that when you're starting to get to know someone? And Deborah says, "I'm a hybrid of that idea. I like to take care of someone with participation. And I am a career person, so each of us needs room to grow and be happy." Well, that's awesome. I like that. I like the idea of being of you wanting to take care of him, but it's a participatory. You both should be doing that for each other. I'm hoping that's what you're both looking for. Shara says, "I want someone who will talk things through, sharing and listening." Oh, that's awesome. Sylvia says, "Hi, I'm Light." Sylvia, welcome. We still have another 20 minutes or so you're just fine. take care of that. And so so Sylvia, I'll put you on the hot seat since you just walked in. We're talking about expectations and things that you'd like in a relationship. A couple of us have, or a couple of you have chimed in and shared expectations of affection, of greeting, being greeted, cooking in the kitchen, or taking care of someone, or being taken care of. I'll put you on the hot seat and ask you what types of things do you look for in a relationship, and are you sharing those things, or are they unspoken expectations, and which can create problems because anything that's unspoken is unknown by the other person. Sylvia says, okay, well, she's playing along. She's so I try not to put anybody on the hot seat too often. So it's all of these things combine to help make an extraordinary relationship. Sylvia, you're quick here. I was going to give you more time. Sylvia says, I'm very affectionate and want that in return. I will speak it. I'll speak it. And that's great. Those are the types of things we're talking about. Affection. And Shar says, me too, Sylvia. She's let's see. Also, don't like to argue, so avoid it. Well, Sylvia, that's a double-edged sword there. I know you don't like to, and let's rephrase that. Arguing is never good, because that means you're both coming at each other from a negative perspective. But you can have decent conversations, and they may get heated. They may, you can get upset. You can be upset by things. But if you're not sharing what's happening, what's bothering you in a relationship, it's going to compound that problem even further. Because I know from personal experience and talking with hundreds of other people, when you bury those things, all they do is they sit there and fester, and pretty soon you're so unhappy that you don't even remember why you're unhappy and why you're mad or angry at the relationship or your partner. It's there, and that causes a lot more problem further down the road, because you've buried so much and you've not worked things out satisfactorily up front. I always find that and it's not easy to do. It really is not easy to do, especially if you're not accustomed to talking about things in a calm, quiet, rational way. It's one of those aspects of relationships that it takes practice. And Sylvia says, yes, conversation is good, but don't like to go to bed angry. Also, don't ignore me. Oh, that's a big turnoff for me. I'm entitled to my opinion and do know how to agree to disagree. Awesome. And Geneva, welcome, Geneva. I have always been open. I was in a relationship for over 20 plus years. However, addition became more important, and I had to leave with our kiddos. Been out now in the single world for a year. However, I'm happy by myself right now, taking care of my kids and doing trauma therapy and trying to get involved with Al-Anon. Oh, that sounds like a horrendous relationship that you got out of. I'm proud of you for for walking out of that, Geneva. That's awesome. And, and take your time, Geneva. One of the things that too many people try to do, a little free coaching here. One thing that a lot of people try to do is they try to get back into a relationship too quickly. And I'm so excited that you're happy being single right now. Just take time. When you spend 20 plus years with someone, you lose yourself in that relationship, especially if it was a toxic relationship, and alcohol or drug abuse was involved. And being part of Al-Anon will help you understand some of the things that you went through and try to move you forward emotionally and recognizing some of the hand that you may have had to play in being an enabler. So there's a lot of things going on there, and I'm proud of you for working on that. I'm excited for you, because now you have the opportunity to move on to a relationship and take your time. Don't rush that, but move on to a relationship that will be healthy for you. Chris says, that is what I meant earlier, sharing expectations early on. There you go. Thanks, Chris. And Geneva says, completely lost myself. Yes, I was very codependent. Oh, that is, yeah, and dealing with somebody with alcohol or drug abuse, there is a lot of codependence involved in those relationships. Geneva says, didn't even know it until recently how sick I was. Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud for you for finally breaking that connection and getting help and seeking to get healthy. That is so awesome. Sylvia says, hey, my birthday is Wednesday, and I'm no spring chicken. I'm burning daylight, so honesty is front and center for me. Oh, come on, Sylvia, you're still a spring chicken in my book. No, but you are right. Yeah, and that's and see, that's one of the things that I try to teach. I continue to try to teach everyone that I coach, and that and share those things on here. It is, granted, Sylvia, I'm not going to ask your age. I'm 63 years old. I've said this for years. I've got 25, maybe 30 good years or 30 years left on this earth. And I would rather spend the next 20 years looking and 5 years with extraordinary than spending the next 25 years with mediocre and being disappointed and unfulfilled in a relationship. It's so important to be honest and upfront and say, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And if he doesn't, in Sylvia, in your case, if he doesn't have it, if he doesn't bring it to the table, then, just say, yep, you're a great guy, but you're not the right one for me. I'm missing these things, and I wish you all the best, and just move on. It sounds a little less than romantic, but you're right. Time is finite, and there's no sense in trying to make something work or no sense in trying to force something to work when all along it's not. But nonetheless, I have no problem saying what I want from my partner in the future. Awesome. That's great, Geneva. Chris says, happy birthday, Sylvia. Or Shar says, I'm sorry. I'm lucky there. I was born on March 20th, so I'll always be a spring. I like that, Shar. My birthday is 2 days before you, so there you go. I guess I'll always be a spring chicken too. Geneva says, I just turned 40, and I'm so excited to see what the future holds. Awesome. And Sylvia says, I'm turning 57, and you're right. Looking forward to the best. Absolutely. There is so much good stuff yet to come. And Geneva says, but I'm not going out chasing anymore. I'm living my life. you are getting your head together, girl. I like that. And that's so important. You know, there's a post that I share, or a meme that I share from time to time. And it's something on Facebook. Well, yeah, here on Facebook, but we're also on YouTube at the same time. So it's something to the effect: stop seeking the prize and start being the prize sought after. And that sounds exactly like what you're doing, Geneva, and that's so awesome. Start being the prize that's sought after. Shar says, a bunch of youngins here. I'll be 75 in March. Shar, that's awesome. You know, you're still, I know you've had extraordinary once. I know you'll find it again. You just have that aura about you. It may take a little bit, but never count out that extraordinary will strike again. And I'm praying for that for you. So there you go. Being open and able to share, and not being afraid to share. You should never be afraid that you should never be afraid to share what's important to you. You should never be afraid to walk away from a toxic relationship. You know, if you get into a relationship that's physically abusive, you know, you can reach out to me and I'll help you find resources in your area. You know, you can Google resources in your area. Geneva says, you all look amazing. Never lose hope. Absolutely. And Shar says, thanks. And I believe everything you say. So it must be true. Ha! It is. I promise. I promise, Shar. No, and it's all a matter of patience. You know, it may take a year, it may take 5 years, but whatever it is, you know, just enjoy the life. You know, and this goes for all of you, not just Shar. Enjoy the life you're living right now. You know, learn to be content with yourself. Learn to be happy with your own company. And I found that for myself anyway, when I learned to be happy with my own company, and I got to a point where I didn't need anyone, that's when dating really became fun. And it's actually quite exciting right now. So, you know, there are so many possibilities out there. We just have to remain open to all of them, you know, and God works in some amazing ways. And, you know, we don't always understand when and how and why, but, you know, when you remain open and true to yourself, that's when amazing things can really start to happen. So with that, I think we'll wrap it up for another Monday Mastery. Thank you all for joining, and thank you for all the comments. You guys are the ones that make this and make it fun for me. I hope it's been good for you all and constructive. I'll be back again next Monday. And I forgot to wish you all a happy Martin Luther King Day. You know, I went to the post office today, not remembering it was MLK Day, and imagine my surprise when I had a book to put in the mail, and there was nobody there but me. So anyway, Geneva, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Deborah, you're welcome. Sylvia, you're very welcome, and I appreciate it. So I hope you all have a great and blessed week. I hope this was a good start to your week, and your work day was good, or you know, Shar's hiking. Hopefully you had a good time hiking this weekend, Shar. I will see you all next week. If you have any questions in the meantime, you shoot them to me, and or if you have any topics you want me to talk about in future episodes of Monday Mastery, I'll be happy to take those on and answer those questions also. So have a great and blessed week. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you, Barb. Thanks for all your comments throughout the week on my Facebook page. Have a great and blessed week, everyone. Love you guys.